go ahead and talk about
give
cuisine.
a quick background. Normally the interview should only last 30 minutes, but seeing as it's a special situation, it can go a bit longer, but it still doesn't need to be like an hour.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
a very short description would be fine.
Okay, so Senegal is a country in West Africa. It has a population of around 16 million. And the climate is a bit strange because, well, if you actually look at the map, you can see that it's right in the middle between a tropical climate and a desertic climate. So it's kind of weird because it's really hot, sun and dry, but at the same time it rains a lot. So it's kind of special. And so the official language is French. So it's used by the state and the medias, but the majority of the population speak a language called Wolof, which is actually a urban mixture between French and Arabic.
Okay.
So yeah. So should I talk about cuisine now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the cuisine in Senegal is West African cuisine, and it has been influenced by North African, French, and a bit of Portuguese cuisine. So one of the most popular dish is called I may spell that wrong, but it's called Tchéboudienne.
Okay.
It basically means fish with rice. So it's a national dish that comes in all shapes and all sizes, and the recipe vary between different family. But at its core, it's a piece of fried and off-grilled fish. So it's a local fish. Most of the time, it's a white fish, and then they had the seasoning like rice with a lot of a lot of spiciness to it, and also tomato sauce and stuff like that. So it kind of looked like a couscous, but instead of the meat, it's a white fish. Even though I think some couscous have fish, but like most of the time it's meat, I think. Yeah. So do you want me to talk about every dish I've noted, or do we?
No, we can just go. We can go like one by one.
Okay.
Who wants to? How about Juan?
Yeah, I will continue. So I chose Egypt. It's a country in Africa, and well, a special thing about Egypt is that a significant amount of Egyptian cuisine is for vegetarian, and because of the religious restriction and historical price of meat, and so that's the reason why the Egyptian cuisine makes heavy use of legumes, vegetables, and fruit, and it also shares similarity with the food of the Eastern Mediterranean region, such as rice stuffed vegetables or kebab, with some variation and differences in preparations. And common meats in Egypt cuisine are rabbit, pigeon, chicken, and lamb. And noticeably, most of Egypt's population are Muslims, so they do not eat pork due to religious restriction. So pork are raised and consumed mostly by the Christian minority, which is estimated about 10% of population. And Egypt's national dish is called kushari, and it's also a widely popular street food. And kushari is made of rice, macaroni, and lentils mixed together, topped with a spiced tomato sauce and garlic vinegar. It's also served with crispy fried onion on top and lemon sauce. So it's pretty interesting.
Nice. Okay.
And that's why we decided to go with food and religion, because sometimes we can link it, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, in that case, definitely, I can see the link between what they eat and the religion that they practice. Oui? Would you like to go next?
Yes. For me, I will talk about food in South Africa. And South Africa is a very interesting country because the country is affected by a lot of different cultures. So for its food, South Africa has indigenous and non-indigenous cookery. For the indigenous cookery,
Cuisine?
Yes,
cuisine?
cuisine, yes. In the pre-colonial period.
Pre-colonial. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Indigenous cuisine was characterized by a use of a wide range of food, including fruits and leaves or gathered plants and hunting of wild animals. And they have they consist primarily of cooked grain, especially two kinds of crops. I don't know how if I spell it right. Sorghum and millet.
Sorghum and millet. Okay, yeah.
And fermented and for many South Africans, the meat is the center of any meal, and eating milk has a root to significance in both traditional and modern South African culture. And for the non-indigenous cuisine, because in the 19th century, the Dutch and French landed and settled in Africa. They bring in slaves from Indonesia, India, and Malaysia. So South Africa has a lot of was affected by French food, French cuisine, Dutch cuisine, and Indonesia and Malaysian cuisine. Yes.
Yeah, influenced.
Yes, influence. And the best, the significance of South Africa is the meat of drying. The meat is it's called the I don't know how can biltong, and it's the method of drying and drying meat, and yes.
Okay, great. Lorenzo?
Yes. So first, you have to know that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, because it's a monarchy, is a country in Western Asia, constituting the bulk of the Arabian Peninsula. Saudi Arabia is geographically the largest sovereign state in Western Asia, and the second largest in the Arab world after Algeria. So, as Guillaume said, the culture as well as the laws of Saudi Arabia is founded on Islamic principles, including the dietary restrictions against eating pork and drinking alcohol. So some of the common food items in Saudi Arabian cuisine include wheat, rice, lamb, chicken, yogurt, potatoes, and seafoods, and dates. So I have found a national dish of Saudi Arabia called kabza. So this dish is a blend of rice cooked with a variety of meats, for example chicken, and vegetables and spice. So it looked like a paella, for example, to
Okay.
highlight. So in general, local food is often strongly flavored and spicy. The most common meats are lamb and chicken, that I said. Beef here is rare, and pork is forbidden under Islamic law. Eating, drinking, and smoking in public during the fasting hours of Ramadan will incur strict penalties. So in all the countries, I think. There are no bars. Alcohol is forbidden by law, and there are several penalties too against this behavior.
What about like for tourists? There's no alcohol for tourists either?
They can drink in a hotel, but there is no alcohol in the other space.
Inside their room or just like in the entire hotel?
So can you repeat, because I don't really.
Can they drink at like the bar of the hotel, or are they supposed to drink it in private?
I don't know. I don't find this idea, but I think that there is bars in hotels, so they can drink
Okay.
at the entry of the hotel.
Maybe, yeah, maybe like in the restaurant with their bar or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Was there anything else you would like to add, Lorenzo?
No, it's okay. Maybe
No?
I will add after.
Okay. Then Guillaume, would you like to continue with the next topic?
Do you want me to talk about another dish or just talk about religion?
What time is that?
Yeah.
3:20. Well, up to you, but maybe we'll do religion and then we'll see at the end how much time we have. Okay?
Okay, right. So Senegal is a secular state. So in French, it means laïque. So basically, it's just like in France, the state is not linked to any kind of religion, and everyone is accepted no matter their no matter the beliefs. But Islam is the predominant religion in the country. It's practiced by almost 95% of the population.
Okay.
And then we have the Christian community, which is about 5% of the population. They are mostly Romans, but there are also a few Protestants. So it's funny because even though the state is secular, almost the entire population is religious. While, for example, in France, I mean, it's a bit off topic, but in France, we are a secular country. And even though about 70% of the population is baptized, so in theory, they're Christian. In practice, we have studies that say that between 60 to 70% of the French population say they don't belong to a religion. So I just wanted to show you that Senegal is really different from France when it comes to religion, even though it doesn't look like it. So yeah, and one last thing, about 1% of the population is animist. So that means they believe that objects, places, and creatures possess some kind of spiritual essence.
Okay.
So basically, they think that everything is alive, even rocks, even the weather, and sometimes even words. So these guys, they are not a lot. They are 1%, but they actually are really respected in the country. Many people come to them and ask them for some kind of spiritual ceremony in order to have their children be ready for life. Like they do some kind of baptisation, some
Like
kind of.
even people from other religions, like even Muslim parents would maybe do that?
It's kind of separated from the usual religions. So almost everyone do respect these guys, and they sometimes say come to them in order to get some spiritual stuff, or I don't know. I don't really
Okay.
know, but they are definitely respected in the country.
Okay, cool. All right, next, Juan.
Okay. When you talk about, when we talk about Egypt, its religion is, it's very interesting, especially the ancient Egypt, and because nowadays more in Egypt, most of the population are Muslims. So I will start with the religion in ancient Egypt. So the religion of ancient Egypt lasted for more than 3,000 years, from 4,000 BC to 1,000 BC, and the ancient Egyptians believed that gods and goddesses control the forces of the human and natural and supernatural world. So in traditional Egyptian belief, the fundamental principle was that the abstract concept of Ma'at is represented by the goddess Ma'at, and it symbolizes the truth, the justice, and as they believe, to maintain Ma'at, the living had to constantly worship and make sacrifices to the gods to pacify the spirits of the afterlife. So that basically of the ancient Egypt, and nowadays most of Egyptians are Muslim. So and it affects uh, very much on Egyptian politics, economic activity, and social life. And Egyptians are supposed to pray 5 times every day, and they gather at the mosque. The mosque is a place for people to worship. It's Islam, Islam.
Islam, yeah.
So they gather at the mosque for the to pray, and especially businesses, schools, and offices close on Friday. And as Lorenzo mentioned, most Egyptians don't drink alcohol due to the religion, and so each religion has its holiday, and the main Islamic holidays are Ramadan, Islamic New Year, and the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad. And religious holidays are celebrated according to the Islamic calendar, and it's based on the movement of the moon or lunar calendar, and it is shorter than the solar calendar by around 10 or 11 days. So the days are not fixed in relation with solar calendar.
Okay.
So that's all.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Lui?
For me, in South Africa, there are a diverse variety of religions, like food. Religions in South Africa were influenced by different culture, like the Portuguese, French, British, Chinese, and India. They have their traditional religions at the earlier time in the Bantu speakers times, and they have Christianity, and it is the dominant religion in South Africa, with almost 80% of the population professing to be a Christian, and it also South Africa has also Islam, and it was introduced by the Malaysian slaves of the Dutch settler, and Hinduism was introduced by laborer imported from India, and Judaism was introduced by a Jewish astronomer and cartographers in the time of the Portuguese discovery of the sea route to India. So I will include. I think I will include. Make a conclusion that South Africa is a very interesting country because it has a lot of influences around all of the culture around the world, like in the Western and also in the East. So I think it is a very interesting country for the religious belief and for its cuisine.
Okay. Well, thank you. Lorenzo.
Yeah, so Saudi traditions are rooted in Islamic teachings and Arab customs. So as you know, the main religion in Saudi Arabia is Islam. So to introduce, Saudi Arabia is home to Mecca, the origin and spiritual center of Islam. So Mecca is regarded as the holiest city in the religion of Islam. Muhammad, the founder of Islam, was born in Mecca, and because it's sacred, only Muslims are allowed to enter to the city. Medina, another city, is the second earliest city in Islam after Mecca. So I found strict and strong restrictions about religions. So Saudi Arabia is one of the few countries that have religious police who patrol the streets by enforcing dress codes, strict separations of men and women. The attendance at prayer 5 times each day, the ban of alcohol, and other aspects of Islamic law. The daily life in general is dominated by Islamic observance. So businesses are closed 3 or 4 times a day for 30 or 45 minutes during business hours, while employees and customers are sent off to pray. The weekend is Friday and Saturday, not Saturday and Sunday, because Friday is the holiest day for Muslims. And I found also strict restrictions against the other religions. So, for example, non-Muslim festivals like Christmas and Easter are not tolerated at all, although there are nearly 1 million Christians as well as Hindus or Buddhists among the foreign workers in
Even in private?
Sorry?
Even in private?
I don't know, but if they are controlled by the police, maybe they will have problem about that. There are also no churches, temples or other non-Muslim houses permitted.
Muslim.
Yes.
In English,
Muslim.
we say Muslim.
Okay, sorry. So
Okay.
they are not permitted in the country. And I have 2 last idea. So the conversion by Muslims to another religions is illegal and can be punishable by death. So it's really hard. And atheists are legally designed as terrorists in the country.
Wow. Okay. All right. And what about the coronavirus in Saudi Arabia? Any news on that? No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, can you repeat?
I said, is there any news about the coronavirus in Saudi Arabia? I think there were a few cases I read.
Yes, Yes, I saw that there are deaths already.
Yeah. Not as many as France, though.
Yes.
We'll see. Poor France, getting hit pretty hard. Okay. Great job, guys. Thank you very much for your hard work. I appreciate everyone showing up and getting your interviews done. Just a few notes so that you guys know a few of the errors that you're making so that you can try to correct them. All of you, be careful with your S's on your plural nouns. This happens a lot to French people especially, but people from any cultural background tend to forget about putting S's on the end of their plural nouns. So, cats, dishes, families, looks, all of these words that have an S, if it has an S in English, we say the S. So just be aware of that, okay? Make sure that you're paying special attention to that. Problems about that. You would say problems with that instead of problems about that. Muslim instead of Muslim men. Okay. Some subject-verb agreement issues too, like there laws is or there is, like there is many. Just make sure that your subject agrees with your verb. So there are many, or laws are this way or that way. Overall, very good job. Those were the biggest things that I heard. I will speak to you guys in a few weeks, if not sooner. The interviews may get moved up since we will be in confinement for a bit longer. We might be moving the interviews up in order to make the, when we do get to be back in the same classroom, to fit everything else that's on this crazy schedule in. Because right now, the only things that we're able to do are CM reports and social shakers for right now, and the interviews. So we might move some of the interviews up so that when we meet back together, we can fit the stuff that we haven't gotten to in. Okay, but I'll let you know. I'll send you an email if that does happen. Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.